recently we got Squid Game season 2. I'm not gonna go into any spoilers or anything. I'm not really gonna give my take on it in details, but Penguinz0 or Charlie or Moist Critical, depending on where you see him or how you refer to him, he did come out with a video kind of giving his take on it. So I do want to watch that before going into the gaming part, and I will add a little bit of what I think about it, um, depending on how descriptive his video is. But we're gonna react to that. Um, Usually I do like daily dose and stuff like that, but I don't think he has a new upload. So yeah, we're gonna watch this Charlie video and see what he thinks. Okay, see what he thinks about it, because I definitely have my thoughts on the show.
I went into season 2 of Squid Game.
Wait, actually, before he starts, let me kind of assume and guess. Okay, I don't like assuming because usually, I don't like making an ass out of you and me. But if you get it, did you catch that? Probably not. Anyways, let me guess what he's gonna say. I went into Squid Games not expecting a lot. Probably it's actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good, but I wasn't expecting much. I'm guessing that's what he's about to say, because honestly, that's what I thought. But I don't know, just the tone, the monotone vibes already that I'm getting from him in those 2 seconds. I can already kind of tell what Charlie's going to say. But let's see. Am I wrong? Did I make an ass out of me? I don't know.
With pretty low expectations, I was just expecting a lazy cash grab, but it's kind of late for that since it's been 3 years.
Pretty accurate. Pretty accurate.
Sensation. And with the way the world moves these days, 3 years may as well be prehistoric.
I watch Charlie a lot. Okay, I love him as a content creator, so I kind of can tell.
Now I do need to.
Yeah, so I watched Squid Games. I thought it was gonna be a cash grab, but it's decent. Right. I would have the same expectations. I would share that criticism or thoughts if Squid Games was produced here in America. And let me kind of go into details by what I mean by that. I believe a lot of the shows or the gems that we have in American kind of, I don't know. I feel like a lot of shows that are considered the greatest shows are usually cash grabs when it comes to like American, what would you call it, media, right? I just feel like a lot of like it's that's just how I feel. But I feel like again, Korea, they're on something, man. They know exactly how to do it. They have like a secret recipe that they just let them cook. Let them cook. Actually, you want to make 3 or 4 seasons? You want to make a spinoff? Go right ahead, because they know how to do it. Now here, I feel like here in America, a lot of times they do not care. A lot of times it is a cash grab. But yeah, I just thought I would say that. Okay, I just thought I would say that.
Spoil a little something here. There's no Jim Wool, which is a damn shame. That's a big
God
missed
damn it.
opportunity because Jim Wool.
Actually, I can't be too surprised at that, because I did watch Squid Game, so I did know that.
Devil himself in the Roblox Squid Game circuit, and I really thought that they would tip their hat to Jim Wool in season 2 here, but
you're telling me that Korean Squid Game producers don't watch Roblox
again, which is what I expected.
What a shame.
What I really thought season 2 would be is they just do nothing but games. The same games and then maybe some new games. I just thought it'd just be nothing but games out the wazoo like we're playing fucking Mario Party. But it's not, which was a pleasant surprise. There is a huge
games, but again, Charlie, I feel like they
happens, it's part of a game.
I feel like a lot of the
Even when it's
teasers
them hunting
and
the
stuff that
recruiter down
they
in
released
a
kind
game.
of hinted at
So
what it would
there
be.
is a lot of that, and
So
they're
I
all
don't know.
good and they are different. There is only one return game. So that was nice. I once again expected them just to do
Spoilers.
the greatest hits again. Now that's what I call Squid Game Volume 2, basically. Fucking Kids Bop Squid Game, the second rodeo. They didn't. That's not.
Yeah, surprisingly they didn't. One thing I will add, going into Squid Game season 2, I've seen, dude, whenever there's a content or media content that is going to be released or that I'm intrigued and interested in and something that actually grabbed my attention, and I like and I anticipate, Jesus Christ. I I eat up every crumb that they release. So I've seen the Squid Games season 2 trailers. I've seen videos. Like I've seen every amount of things. And the only thing really, I didn't have the same expectations of like, yeah, they're gonna repeat a lot of the games. Again, I feel like a lot of the content that they did pre-release kind of hinted at it being like a revenge plot instead of like, hey, we're gonna repeat season 1 with different people, um, in the same character. Um, One of the things that I had in mind was I knew beforehand that the old man in season 1 got into some legal trouble in real life. So I wasn't he was such a like an important character in season 1. What were they going to do in this season? You know, how is that going to go? But surprisingly, yeah, I watched season 2 and it was like it wasn't really necessary to have them. But I don't know. I don't know.
Nice. Now,
I can kind of see how people can.
chance of reaching the same heights that season 1 did. That was lightning in a bottle, in the truest sense of the word. It came out at an unprecedented time where everyone was inside, and there was nothing like this out. Of course, there's still
It was. I agree with that, but there's also like
that crazy, set the world ablaze popularity that season 1 had. Though I'm sure it will.
if you know, you know, because there's other shows like Alice in Borderlands. Like if you know, you know. I'm not gonna go into much,
Anyway, though,
but yeah, Squid
I do
Games
think
was
season 2
definitely
here is
very
very good. Even.
mainstream
I went
and
into it expecting it to kind of be dog shitty. Nope, not the case. So season 2 is much more of like almost a revenge action show than it is a show about survival by any means necessary through these depraved
again,
games.
no spoilers.
Here, we now see a very different Gihun, who I still don't know if I'm saying that name right. I don't remember if it's Jihun or Gihun. I'm not entirely sure. Sorry if I butchered the pronunciation. But we see him in a totally different way. He even has his own John Wick arsenal. He is using that.
He has evolved as a character
to try and track down the recruiter so he can go to the games and tear it to pieces. Shut it down for good.
Hey, kind of spoiled.
Has the
Kind of.
red hair that we saw at the end of season 1. I suppose the director said, "All right, I was playing a bit of a goof on you. We'll get serious again." So that goes away within the first like 3 minutes.
Yeah, that I'm not gonna lie. That red wig was crazy though.
3 years training with the sole focus of stopping these games. So he's really good with guns now, and he is like a very confident leader. So he has people that are searching every subway station every day for 2 years during the summer looking for the recruiter, and he has this network and even gets connections to some military people that will help.
Now let me know. Let me know in the comments below. Okay, if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're watching this live, I swear, if we do a poll, 95% of people would say Nah, I won the Squid Games the first time. I'm not gonna infiltrate again. I don't care about these people. I'm gonna spend my money. I'm gonna be happy. But how many of you sincerely and honestly would infiltrate the games again and do what Ji-hoon did if you watch Squid Games 2? If you haven't, watch it, come back and type in the comments. Would you be willing to infiltrate? Because there's nothing tying you to the games. Like if you're a winner, I feel like majority of people, I don't know. I feel like a majority of people will just use those riches to kind of forget about everything. Like I don't know.
Help him try and stop these games. And it's a really cool evolution of the character from season 1 that feels pretty natural with all the trauma he went through and everything that he experienced. Him being kind of just broken but so focused on taking that anger out on the people that caused it is just a really compelling and
Yeah.
natural
Yeah.
evolution of what we saw from season 1. And the villain here, the front man that we knew from season 1, is so good. He is the perfect counter to our hero. And he plays with that, saying, like, so you want to play the hero, I'll show you the consequences, and boy howdy does he ever. I'm not going to get into spoilers for this one. This one is way too fresh to get into
I
spoilers.
absolutely agree with that,
That
actually.
I won't be able to dive too deep into in a moment. But I do think, on the whole, this was much better than I expected and just a really solid season 2 for something that I thought shouldn't have even had a season 2 in the first place. Usually when you have a show like Squid Game, I feel like it's best left as just that, glorious triumph in the moment that it
Again,
was.
I'm telling you,
Instead of trying
Koreans
to
have
overstay its
unlocked
welcome, extend it
the
to a season 2
the
just because
secret.
it's popular. It's always lackluster when that happens. In this case, though, I really think it was handled well. It seems very self-aware in what people.
I'm just gonna say. Besides them unlocking the secret to actual good media and entertainment, they know their drinks, okay? Koreans know two things. They know how to make dramas and shows, and they know how to drink. Like if you see that, okay? Actually, I'm a full screen. Sorry, Charlie. I'm sorry. But all that all that right there, Jesus Christ, this is kind of all that right there is soju bottles. That's not to showcase my alcoholism, but I love soju. Okay, that's my poison. But yeah, they do know those two things. Then again, I feel like if Squid Games was produced somewhere else, it would have probably been a cash grab. It probably wouldn't have been as good and entertaining. I feel like there's a lot he's leaving out of his analysis, but we're just gonna carry on and we're gonna see what he has to say. And if there's anything to add, I will add, but I don't want to spoil things for people that haven't watched it. Also, in the comments, if you have watched Squid Games, leave in the comments below what are your thoughts. I should have watched season 1 before watching season 2 again, just to kind of get a refresher, because there was a lot of things I missed out or didn't remember from season 1, but I'll get into that later. Okay, Charlie.
Expected for season 2, and it gives you that and then some. So the iconic red light, green light, that's the first game. So the show brings you in with the same game.
Again, spoilers.
Think, oh, he's just going to be playing the same shit.
God damn it, Charlie.
And it even has similar characters that were introduced in season 1. We have characters that are very close to them in season 2, but they go in very different directions and serve a very different purpose. So it's a nice spin on character traits that we saw in season 1 and got fed a bit in season 2 that drastically change in the direction they go. For example, one of Ji-hun's friends is in this game again, but not the same kind of friend we saw in season 1. I want to mention that might be a big spoiler, but I don't think it is because
no spoilers, Charlie. But yeah, it is refreshing kind of remind, like, just to give you kind of an analogy or an example. Imagine, like, if you like Kool-Aid, right? Or if you like lemonade, right? You know, the lemonade you could buy at the store, right? And your mom prepares it for you, or if you prepare it, and it's like, ooh, refreshing, nice, good taste. I like it. I'm gonna buy this again. And then the second time you prepare it, but you add a little bit of sugar, you know, you add a little bit of sugar, and it's even better than it was the first time. It That's what Squid Games season 2 was. It was. But not only was season 2 that, it was like just preparing you for season, because season 2 prepares you for season 3, what's to come, right? It's not much what season 2 was about. It's what to expect in season 3, right? That anticipation, that is like, ooh. But it was nice. It was very nice. It was short though. But yeah.
In case there's a spoiler warning, do you remember how in season 1 the big twist was that the old man that was with Jihan for most of the games was actually the man behind
The creator
the whole time, the fucking puppet master.
Spoiler if you haven't watched season 1, but what have you been doing?
Season 2 knows that people are expecting some kind of twist like that, and they play with that expectation by putting the front man in the same position the old man was. But they let you know right away that it's the front man, because we saw him in season 1, and in the very first game, we get to see the front man come into the fold. He's playing the game, and we know that he is the big bad. But
I'm gonna be honest with you.
The game does. Jihan doesn't.
I should have watched season 1 again,
really
but
fun way of spinning this, where now
I didn't clock it until later on in the episodes that was the front man as player 1. But also the old man was player 1 as well in the first season. So I should have clocked it, but I
and somehow miraculously survives, like we saw in season 1 with the old man. He is like even desperate to survive in some of them. Like, I don't want to get into spoilers on how some of the games go, or just spoil something.
But then again,
like he was putting his life on the line.
Yes. But then again, was that just acting, or was he really scared? That's the question. Because I don't know. I feel like as a front man, especially with the ending, I feel like people besides the players knew that was the front man. So I think he was just acting for the other players. I don't think he was really fearful. But we did get a lot of insight on, like, kind of his background, which was pretty interesting.
It's kind of a theme that they drove home within the very first episode with the recruiter, where the recruiter plays Russian roulette with Jihan, and they play by the rules. No cheating, nothing that's going to get them VAC banned, no manipulation.
That was very psychotic, though. That was fucking crazy.
Rule following, which I think is just really cool and helps to flesh out the theme of the season even more so. So I thought they executed that really well. Now let's get into some of the things I didn't like all that much.
Ooh, interesting.
Some of the games I just didn't think were that interesting. In the first season, I don't think
really
all the games were hits either.
I wasn't expecting that.
Hits. Like they weren't all slam dunks. There were some misses. But here, I felt like some of them were just kind of throwaway. As if
what do you mean by that?
Even really there. The second game, for example, there is like this big shocking moment where
is that the mini game ones
the
or
game that we saw in season 1?
I don't want to spoil it, but yeah.
Replaced it was just like a mishmash of 5 different.
Yeah, okay. That was the mini. Okay.
Like little party trick games almost, and it just didn't even feel that tense. I didn't get the same feeling watching that, where it's like, oh, the characters are in real peril now. This is going to be a super hard one.
I don't know.
There's actual dread on all of the characters for even seeing this game and having to play in it. I just didn't get that really. The game that I thought was better. It was definitely a lot more intense. It was able to build a lot more tension.
Hold on, because this is actually interesting. I find this actually interesting. Hold on. I'm going to full screen for a moment. So, yeah. So, I don't want to spoil it, but if you're gonna watch it, I mean, there's not much to anticipate. There's not much to It's just it's just from the jump you're gonna know. So the first game he kind of went into it. Yeah, it's the red light green light from season 1. I mean, you don't have to watch Squid Games to know what red light green light is because you probably played it yourself, but you probably watched clips online of it because it's very popular. But yeah, the second game it's kind of a new one, but I do think that there was a lot of. I mean, I do see how he says that it's not as tense as like the other games from season 1, because season 1 I feel like the games were kind of grand. I feel like they were just big. It was like the sense of urgency. I don't know, but the, even though it was like 5 mini games put into one, there's the aspect of the time constraint, and you have to kind of complete the 5 mini games within that time and finish the race. So there was that urgency that he. I know he said he didn't feel as though it wasn't as urgent, but it kind of was, you know. Um, I think the way that they produced it or kind of shot it made people feel the way that Charlie did about it, because the way it was shot, it was kind of like rushed. It was kind of like there was a lot of players to begin with, but you only seen a handful do it. So yeah, it was kind of rushed, which I would see how someone can easily say, yeah, I didn't really feel tense or urgent. Um, but it was actually very interesting though, because yeah, I'm not gonna go into much detail, but there was some things that happened and occurred to kind of give the advantage to some other groups, but also, well, we know already that the front man partook in the game, so it's kind of like the creator or the front man kind of manipulating, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, I feel like the sense of urgency was there, but I can see how easily someone can feel the opposite. But I don't know. Let me know what you think.
And keep things
If
like
you watched it.
fucking chaotic. But it just felt like the games in season 2 played almost too much of a background role. I was hoping it wouldn't be the sole focus of season 2 where it's just the games, but I'm pretty surprised
Okay,
at just
yeah, I can see
how
that.
little the
But
games
again, I feel
actually
like
play a
they
role in season
prefaced
2.
the season
It's not a
as
focal
like a
point, honestly,
revenge plot
which I think is going to
instead
be
of.
disappointing to a lot of people who just like Squid Game for that, the death games. Season 2 has much more of an emphasis on just plain old simple action. Just some lead spraying,
That's
some
fair. That's
fights,
fair.
fucking, like it's more action and more about revenge and trying to
Yeah.
stop the games by any means necessary. And that usually comes in the form of a firefight. So the games don't play a huge role here. The next thing I didn't really like is there's an entire subplot with that team that Jihan puts together where they are constantly trying to find where he's been taken.
It's hard
And
not to
every time it
spoil
cuts to
things,
them,
but
it's like useless. It feels like we're just watching filler because they're not getting any closer to finding him. They're just constantly on this wild goose chase, and nothing's really getting
yeah.
accomplished there at all. Now, it does set up a very interesting character that we get introduced to in season 2 that has some very it's going to be a spoiler if I get too deep into it. They introduce a character
he
that is
see
clearly
he's
going to
facing
play
the
a
same
big
thing.
role in season 3. That's another thing. Season 2 is basically just a setup for season 3. Even more than
Exactly.
that. obviously,
I
but
I
everything in
said
season
it.
2 is
Okay,
building
we're
for
on the
season
same
3.
wavelength, and
So there is a character that's introduced here in that side plot that is doing some real fishy shit that is definitely going to play a big role
pun
in the
intended.
next
Is he
arc.
talking about the
But
captain?
just I can only talk about part 2 because that's what's out. Anytime it cut to them,
I see
it
what you
was
did
just
there,
work.
Charlie. I see
They
what you
were
did. The
not
fishy shit.
accomplishing
The
anything at
captain.
all. It just felt
Um,
like wasted time. I can pretty much summarize an hour's worth of that side plot with just a few sentences.
okay,
We
let's
need to
see.
check this island. This might be where the games are being played. All right, we checked the island. No good. We'll cross that one off and check the next
It
one.
really okay. Okay, I give him that. It really was. It really is filler. It really is filler. You gotta watch it to understand. But I'll do you one better, Charlie. Okay, I'll do you one better. Let me full cam. Let me full cam. You see, you're on the right track, summarizing the filler with that subplot that group. But if you're watching Squid Games dubbed, then it's more like this than it is what Charlie just said. It's not there. Check the other island. It's more like that, Charlie. But yeah, you're right. You're right. It is what you say. Okay, back to Charlie though. Back to Charlie.
Make it to the next island. Jeepers, it wasn't that island either. Let's check the next one. That is everything that happens every
A little
time
more
they're on
desyncing
screen
in mouth
without
movement.
fail, and
But
it
yeah,
doesn't really get
you're
deeper
on
than
the
that, except
you
for
hit
that
the
one
nail
character I
on
mentioned
the
who
head with
starts
that.
to do some more things that are clearly going to be a big deal later on. But as of now, they're not. It's just try another, try another, try another. Eventually we'll find the island. Try another. And they just go on this deep sea adventure of just going to fucking island after island after island to no avail. So it's just, it feels just really useless.
They
The other thing I
they
also
could have
just
definitely
didn't like is
filled
this is less about the
the
actual
gaps
content of season 2 and
with
more
more
just this
insight,
trend
but
with dividing things
yeah,
into parts.
yeah.
Since this is clearly part 1 of 2 parts, where season 2 is really a lot of setup for season 3, there are
Yeah.
just so many things in here and so many characters that feel highly underutilized with no actual point that they get to in this show that feels like it fits. So they introduce one of the shooters
Interesting.
in Squid Game. We get to see from their perspective someone who actually kills the contestants in there. We get to see a little about them outside of the game and inside of the game and the things they go through.
Again, we kind of seen that in season 1 though.
Because you get to see a different side of it, even though you did get to see a lot of it in
Yeah.
season 1.
See?
This
Oh
is
my
now
god.
setting it
I
up
swear
someone
I didn't pre-watch.
actively killing the people in the game. And that character we do learn a little bit about, not a ton, but we get a bit. And we see that they're going through some shit while doing this job, but the character doesn't really do anything in the season. It's just we get like glimpses of a different perspective every now and then. But there's nothing narratively that we get from the character that pushes anything forward or really changes anything. It feels like it's clearly going to matter a lot in season 3, but that's what I'm talking about. When you're just breaking something up into parts, you get things that are half-baked like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that just always kind of bothers me a bit. I'm really getting tired of the trend of breaking things in half, because then you only get half of like the whole package that you need to now wait X amount of time for, probably like a year. It just feels disjointed.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, what he just said. I know I'm pausing and I'm trying not to pause a lot during reacting videos, but it does suck. As I said, season 2 felt very short. It's only 7 episodes. I believe season 1 was like 9 episodes, but the amount of just pace and backstory that we got in season 1 was very good, was sufficient enough to be told in those 9 episodes. I feel like they tried to cram a lot of different things into those 7 episodes that it was underwhelming. They could have told it better pacing and just the amount of information that we got with the different subplots, I would say, or I don't know. Um, as he said, like the games felt like more of the background, but we kind of knew that going into season two. And I don't have an issue with that, but I do feel like since it's a whole lot of new faces and characters, and they just chose like, oh, okay, we need something to relate to. We need someone to relate to here and there and there and there. It kind of felt like a lot, and what we got to see from those characters and about those characters didn't really, I don't know, it wasn't a lot of sustenance really for the viewer. um and it kind of felt like a lot of filling the gap, but they didn't really fill it completely. Like I don't know how to go into it, but yeah, I do see his point. I do see his point. I do, to some degree, uh agree with what he's trying to say here.
Getting really over that trend. I'd rather
I also
wait
hate
for the
that as
whole thing
well.
to come out. Because usually when you do a season, like a full season, things wrap themselves up and storylines reach some level of closure. Of course, they don't need to be fully finished by any means if you're going for more seasons that
But
are
you leave
planned.
enough
Like I know Game of
breadcrumbs
Thrones
to
always
kind
did a
of
good job before, of course, it
conclude.
absolutely shit the bed with season 7 and 8. But it always did a good job of a whole season feeling like, oh, you got a whole complete package that is going to have more going
Yeah, he
forward.
basically said it
Whereas in a
better
case
than I
like
could.
this, you just feel like you got half of the package and you have to wait for the next one to get the whole thing. So that's just starting to bother me a little bit. That's not even like exclusive to Squid Game season 2 or anything, but it is just getting to be a bit of a nuisance. Like House of the Dragon is the most egregious example where the most recent season is actually just putting chess pieces on the
I'm
board
gonna be
and
honest
not
with you,
using
I
them.
haven't
Now
watched
wait for the
Game of
next season
Thrones,
to
and
just
I
do
know that's
anything.
crazy to say,
Fucking
or House of the Dragons.
nothing really moves in season 2 at
I'm
all.
sorry,
And
but
it's not nearly as bad in Squid Game season 2 by any means, but there is just obvious things that are just setup pieces that
yeah,
don't actually contribute anything in this season but will in the next. So it just again feels half baked at the moment. But I know when the whole thing is out, we're going to see the whole vision for it and the role they
yeah,
play.
yeah,
But overall, I do think season 2 was very solid, much better than I expected it to be. So I definitely do think it's worth watching, and I'm really looking forward to the final season of Squid Game. Assuming, of course, season 3 is the final season. They might just milk this cow for many, many moons to come.
I
There's
don't,
probably going to
I
be
don't
tons of
think they
spin-offs, or
will
even
though.
one spin-off too. So they already are showing a track record of having Squid Game as like a flagship IP, but I have to imagine this next season will probably be the last one. I don't even know how they could stretch it further. But anyway, I thought it was good. That's about it. See ya.
So yeah, okay, nice. So yeah, there was all in all, I will say it is a fair assessment. I could see how someone can have those thoughts on the season. But yeah, just to piggyback off of the last thing he said, in this era of basically consuming entertainment, one of the main draws of streaming platforms and everything is that if you grew up, well, kind of, if you still watch cable television, who watches cable television nowadays? But growing up, one of the fucking things I would hate, and I think everyone does, is, and it kind of sounds kind of privileged or whatever, but yo, growing up, dude, having to wait a whole fucking week for weekly episodic, I hated it. I hated it. Besides, there's two things I hated about growing up with cable television, and it's having to wait a full week for an episode to come out and commercials. Oh my god. So, one of the best things when Netflix came out and all these streaming platforms is that you didn't have to wait a full week. I know sometimes now they do it and it's annoying. Um but I love binge watching shows. I sometimes, if there's a show that is mainstream and people are hyping it up and it's like the shit, I would prefer to wait until it's completed and all the episodes are available to watch it than watch it while it's trending. That's just me though. But yeah. Uh I hate as well that they separate it into parts, like, oh, releasing part 1. I'd rather much prefer that they just release it as a completed thing than being like, oh yeah, okay, we're gonna release part 1 now, and then guess what? You're gonna have to wait like 6 months to a year for the next part. Um, it's like, why? No, we're in the age of streaming. I know again it sounds privileged, but we're in the age where that's not necessary. I get it. You can't, like, again, with the cash grab and milking as much of the content as possible, especially with Squid Games. Like, yeah, I don't think there's gonna be a season 4 or anything, but it's just not necessary. Like, we were as a, season 1 was released during COVID, so we already waited so long for the season 2. Don't make us wait just for anticipation and rating another year for the last part. Like, just release it together, man. You're gonna get as much hype and you're gonna get as much rating and views if you release it as one. Like, I don't know, that's how I felt. Now Charlie didn't go into, I didn't think he went into much else. I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys, but there are some new face. As he said, there's new faces that we were introduced to in this season. A lot of them weren't really full fledged. Like, we didn't get much insight in it. But I don't know. I didn't really have much criticism about season 2. It did feel underwhelming in some parts of the story. But I my criticism falls mostly on, like, new characters. Um if you don't know much about Korean culture, music, entertainment, there is an entertainer, or at least he was an ex-entertainer. He's trying to kind of recover, and he's a new addition to the, I'm not gonna go into much detail, but Top, if you don't know who Top is, I suggest you do your research. You're probably gonna fall into a rabbit hole. He had a role in season 2 as Thanos. If you know, you know. I'm a legend Thanos. But yeah, you're probably gonna see a lot of clips of him surfacing in his role. He did a phenomenal job. Kind of a controversial addition to the cast in Korea because, I don't know, they're the East. They're they're more strict with, like, marijuana, so it's frowned upon, and you can basically sacrifice your career if you get into that type of controversy. I believe he had to serve some time for it. It's not as accepted and open as it is here in America, but he killed it. He killed it. I believe he added a lot of hype, and he was, yeah, I have nothing but praises for Top in this role. And it is impressive because I believe he wasn't handed a script, but a lot of it was improvised, and rightfully so. I believe he played himself basically, but an exaggerated version of himself. Now there is a fucking character I hated every time they were on screen. Why? They were just unnecessary. And this is the shaman lady. You will see why I despise this character. But props to the actress that played this role, because obviously I believe there's a lot of people that aren't able to kind of differentiate and kind of separate the artist with the art, or I don't know if that's how you say it, but her your job as an actor is to inflict and kind of bring out a reaction from the viewer. So you played your part as an actor or an actress if you invoke some kind of reaction, whether it's hate or sadness or happiness or joy. And the fact that she got that reaction out from me while watching the series, you did your job as an actress, but I just hate her as a character, and you will see. But let me know in the comments below who is your favorite out of the cast and who is your least liked. Also, another thing I had to mention, because I did say I didn't clock that the front runner, kind of spoilers, but Charlie kind of mentioned it. I didn't know the front runner joined in the games until later on. I kind of had my doubts. I was like, is that the front runner that looks like him? But I don't know. And then it was like, it is. Also, he was 001. Fun fact, he was 001, kind of spoilers, just like the old man. And if you didn't I mean, if you've seen season 1, you would know that the old man is the creator of the games. He wasn't really a participant, hence why he was 001. So the front runner being 001 kind of plays on that. Interesting. But yeah, I didn't clock that. But also, I didn't clock that my boy from season 1, the guy who infiltrated the games as a guard to find his brother, I didn't know that was, if I watch a lot of, as I said, K-drama. I forgot his actual name, but I kind of got surprised as well when I seen that he was that character. Hold on. Let me find his name. I believe I seen him in season 2, but what was his name? There's a lot of well-known actors in season 2. Big name actors. But yeah, this guy, Wee Ha Jun, I believe his name is. I remember him from Bad and Crazy and The Worst of Evil. This guy is an incredible actor. But honestly, there's so many, oh my god, there's so many big known actors in Squid Games. So I highly suggest you watch it. But yeah, that is it for the reaction part of it and what I think of Squid Games. So I definitely I highly suggest you watch it because it is entertaining and it's not bad.